And I honestly believe several of them would have killed me if given the opportunity, truly. And you all know my guy Joey, who works for me, and he said to me after, he said, Dave, I made a choice halfway through that if one of them was going to attack you, I was going to get involved. Because that's the level of tension. Like, I could feel the daggers coming at me. The ones that, mostly they had horrible scowls on their faces, but the ones that smiled at me actually seemed like the most dangerous because they were like Joker smiles.
And the weird Joker smiles, it was so distracting and so unpleasant. You can't have discourse. I don't know how you pulled it off.
You know, truly, to sit around 20 people that have nothing but hatred for you. Like, there wasn't even I tried my best. I kind of didn't want to do it because I've just been through enough versions of the internet and dealt with the hate and the whatever. My team really wanted me to do it. I was like, you know what, I'll do it, whatever. It's not a big deal. I tried to say, I'll show you a little respect to start this thing. They offered nothing. For 2 hours and 55 minutes, I think I did a very nice job. I did have one blip moment where I kind of blanked on something, and I fully grant that.
David, that sounds ridiculous.
It's official. Dave Rubin is the dumbest man in right-wing media.
But for the people that are in the circle, you don't know who you're speaking to until the day of. Like, you can have speculation and they'll give you some of the topics, but you never get confirmation until you see their face walk in the room. But I was more flabbergasted that he had a month to prep, or however long Jubilee let him know he was going to do a surrounded, and he came with no prep. He just walked in thinking he's going to talk to a bunch of woke liberals and talk about pronouns for 6 hours. And he got schooled on every single issue. It was so embarrassing. Like, nobody felt intimidated. Everyone was laughing at everything that he said. He was speaking in vague, conservative talking points that if you ask the average conservative high schooler about political issues, they'd give the same answer.
Yes.
Government bad, the market's good, we need more competition. Every time he was asked for a specific metric, he just completely fell on his face. So it was enjoyable. It was fun.
Well, reviews of the episode have not been kind. Conservative pundit Dave Rubin branded a complete imbecile, reported the UK's independent newspaper. MAGA host mocked after failing to name any of Trump's achievements, said the Daily Beast.
My first surrounded claim is that wokeism did more damage to America than Trump ever did. So I think the simplest way to define wokeism is basically collectivism on steroids, and usually as it applies to race and gender, meaning that you should be judged based on the color. You actually should be judged based on the color of your skin and your sexuality and your gender.
So even assuming your characterization to be an accurate characterization, which I don't necessarily take.
Right. We're gonna have a lot of trouble getting to a fair agreement on
that
wokeism.
Wokeism has, for example, skyrocketed inflation to outpace wage growth, the way that Donald Trump's war of aggression on Iran has done.
Okay. Well, yes, I can. So let's start. Well, first off, the disastrous war. The quote-unquote disastrous war that you're talking about. You're talking about a 40-day military operation that stopped an apocalyptic regime from getting a nuclear bomb. Hang on, we did lose 13. We did lose 13 of our soldiers, and that is
and killed over
terrible.
200 children.
But well, things happen in war, right?
Yeah,
things, yeah. Well, things do happen in war. You can laugh at that. Hold on. Listen, you want to talk?
If Donald Trump wanted to prevent the Islamic Republic of Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, he could have just stuck with the Iran nuclear deal that he ripped up. Iran did not enrich past the 3.67. Wait, they didn't enrich past the 3.67% agreed upon in the JCPOA. They only got to 60% after Donald Trump left that deal.
I'm impressed with your talking points. You've got impressive talking points, and you memorized them well. They're not correct, but I am impressed.
Okay.
First off, can you agree or verify their claims? It's one thing to say, oh, this is what we're doing, this is what we are agreed to, etc. But you have to be able to verify that. And the idea that we have people on the ground, or the UN or some third-party organization that can verify what they're actually doing.
The IAEA assessments agree with me, and Tulsi Gabbard, our Director of National Intelligence, testified in front of Congress last year, and according to the entire intelligence community, Iran did not have a nuclear weapons program.
Okay. That they didn't have a nuclear weapons program. They were enriching past the point that they were allowed to for civilian use. Everyone knows that. But allow me.
But do you understand a weaponization process is different than just enriching?
Do you think the Iranian regime before this war, the Iranian regime that has oppressed the people of Iran for 40 years, Do you think that was a good regime? Would you say that was a good government? Would you like to live under those people? Were they progressive in any way? Do they hold any of the values that any of you guys hold?
No, but we don't just start wars on countries whose politics we disagree with or who are oppressive to their own people. We were actually an ally to Saudi Arabia.
Well, you have a very unconventional household, and wokeism has brought you that household, right? To live with your husband, to have your 2 children, who are conceived through surrogacy.
Wokeism isn't what led to, say, gay marriage. What led to gay marriage is a fight for equality under the law. All right.
Dave.
All right, hi.
Good to meet you. I'm actually a big fan. I've been watching you since like all the way back in the Sam Harris era.
Oh yeah?
And then I remember you
softening me up, okay.
No, you brought on like Stephen Molyneux, like the white nationalist, and I was like, this guy just loves ideas. He just loves all different types of ideas. I love that. But yeah, he specifically wrote an executive order that classifies far leftist groups, like pro-transgender groups, as a danger to the country, which often the entire military can go after. That is insane. That is absolutely a violation of people's individual rights.
All right, so you want to talk about the trans issue sort of broadly, I want
to talk about the MAGA coalition that claims to be pro-individual liberty, yet wants to police the way that people express themselves.
But what are they doing?
That also wants to police people's bodies, that want to go after people specifically because of their ethnicity.
Right.
None of that should be
so
tolerated.
Donald Trump is in the middle of his 2nd term. Gay marriage is here, it's passed, it's a just
then
cause.
Why are
I believe in individual rights.
Wait, you're friends with Michael Knowles, right?
Yeah.
So what's that coalition again called? I think it's like Less Equal. That's trying to actually get rid of Obergefell and overturn gay marriage rights. Does that not concern you?
Well, first off, I've never heard of that specific organization. But what I can tell you,
you're friends with them.
Well, first off, Michael and I are friends, but there is a cap on our friendship. There actually
How are you
is.
friends with someone who doesn't want you to be in love, my man?
He doesn't want me to be in love. He's had dinner at my house with his wife. My husband cooked for him.
That's against God. So I want to have a word with him.
No. And my husband has cooked him lamb, and we have enjoyed evenings together. And if Michael or anyone else was trying to lead some organization that was going to go against my civil rights, well, that is where obviously we would have our difference of opinion, of course.
But when he goes in front of his platform and says that a video of 2 gay men having a child is the most disgusting thing that he's ever seen, which is a quote, you can look up the tweet. Michael said that child is in one of the most dangerous situations he can think of, which is crazy to think of all the abusive parents that actually live in this society, regardless of sexual orientation, and you're gonna look at a happy family and say this is disgusting. That should feel like a violation.
Okay, so I didn't see that video, and my husband has cooked him lamb.
How are you?
Good.
So I really want to ground this conversation more in what I believe is the greatest damage that's happening right now in America, which is the affordability problem. Okay. And I think that there's no one who has exacerbated that more than Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans. And if you look at the 3 primary indicators of how the economy is doing, GDP, the labor market, and inflation, all 3 of those are indicating that the economy is going in a downhill direction. And that's also validated by a recent poll. 73% of people in America are saying that the economy is in poor condition.
Look, if you want to create the conditions for economic success, what I think you have to do is you have to lower taxes literally for everybody, and you have to eliminate as much regulation as possible, right? When we see a massive exodus right now, we'll use New York as an example. Since Mamdani has taken over, they have lost trillions of dollars in tax revenue, right? So the guy wants to fund big government programs, and what he's saying is, I want to tax these people more, and then he is causing them to leave. That is what people are going to do in a free society, right? We have states' rights, and in Florida, say, we have no state income tax. And under the Biden administration, we let in somewhere, we don't even know what the actual number is, but somewhere between 16 to 20 million illegals. If Donald Trump did quite literally nothing else in his presidency, just getting control of the border.
Let's look at some of the things that Trump ran on, right? Yeah. He ran on an America First campaign, and then he bombs Venezuela. Then he doesn't end the war in Israel, even though he promised he was going to do that.
What do you mean? The war is over. The war's over.
No, it's
what do you mean?
Very much.
There's a ceasefire. There's not one Israeli in Gaza. The hostages are home. There's a
No,
reconstruction
that is
that's beginning.
absolutely not true. Conflict has continued. Yes, there have continued to be bombs. And moving
they're
on.
bombing Gaza right now. That's what you're telling me?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not true.
I mean, I know you get your news from Grok, but like this is a fact that is continuing to happen. So he promises to be America first. He starts a war in Iran while simultaneously defunding the VA, right? So he's sending people to go fight an unnecessary war war while defunding the organization and the institution that helps those people. That's not America first at all. Look, he said he was going to be tough on crime, especially immigrants, but he pardons the president of Honduras, who was literally in jail for smuggling 400 tons of cocaine into the U.S. He hasn't come through on any of his promises, and you continue to defend him. You are not accepting the reality that Trump failed his voters.
If Donald Trump did nothing else other than close the borders, he has already done more than enough for the country.
That's you. Whoa. You think in 4
years
years a president's only responsibility is to close the borders? He's supposed to be running the free world.
If you have a slow,
what about healthcare? What about the national debt? He's increased the national debt by $2.5 trillion. You don't give a about that?
If you have a slow, soft invasion of your country happening, then at the very least, you can close the borders and start kicking out the people who are not supposed to be here.
Okay, but you just said if the only thing that Trump did is close the borders, that would be an effective presidency to you? Okay, but you just said if he did one singular thing, that's a good president to you? Really?
Relative to where we were with Joe Biden.
That sounds like a lame duck president to me. If the only thing he can accomplish in 4 years is one thing, so you don't care
we
that...
had an invasion into this country. 16 to 20 million people, on top of the fact that we probably had at least 12 million illegals here in the first place.
So you don't care that he just cut $1 trillion from Medicaid. You don't care that he defunded the EPA. You don't care that he defunded the VA.
I don't care that he funded the EPA, but that's besides the point.
None of those things. You don't care. It's just as long as he does immigration, you're happy? That's delusional.
My next surrounded claim is if you still vote for Democrats in 2026, you're voting for broken cities, broken schools, and broken borders.
And if we're going to talk about broken cities, we actually need to talk about broken states. 8 out of the 10 poorest states in the United States are Republican controlled. And the majority of states that are the wealthiest states are democratically controlled. And these are actually donor states to Republican states. And the irony is that Republicans are against welfare, except when it comes to funding their states.
Okay. Well, first off, I assume you've been to West Hollywood, right?
I have.
I used to live in West Hollywood, pretty close to the Abbey, and I left about I moved to the Valley before that, but I lived there for about 6 years. And the 6 years that I lived there, from about 2013 to 2019, it was pretty clean and it was pretty safe, and there weren't drug addicts and homeless people all over the place. If you have a slow, soft invasion of your country happening, hi, how are you?
Good. What is one main metric that Donald Trump has made better off since he got in office? So like an example would be GDP, unemployment, inflation, etc.
Well, right now, first off, the big beautiful bill was just passed last year and it's kicking in now, right? It's kicking in now. Okay, so we're going to now see results of that, like even the tariffs. All right, so let's do tariffs. Are you for or against tariffs?
Against the universal tariff. So what's the main metric that he made better off?
What?
What's the main metric that he made better off? GDP, unemployment, inflation? Do you have any idea?
Listen.
I don't think you do.
Do you think, hold on, so you're arguing that things economically were better under Joe Biden
at the end of his administration, absolutely.
Yeah, so can you give me an example of how?
Yeah, GDP growth was better off, real median wage growth was better off, inflation was better off at the end of his administration, unemployment was better off at the end of his administration. We had the worst year of job growth in the past 4 years, just this last year under Trump's administration. The inflation, 3.8% year over year since Trump got in office. We're seeing all of those economic indicators become worse off. Can you tell me anything that he's done to make it better off? You say it's broken for Democrats. It sounds like it's broken right now under Trump.
Have you looked at the stock market?
It's worse off in terms of growth in 2025 as compared to 2024. If you look at Dow Jones and S&P 500.
They're both up quite a bit right now.
But lower growth
quite
rate.
Well. You know, things don't happen overnight. So Donald Trump, for example, things don't, that's true. There's reality. There's actual reality. Like you put policies into place and they don't just kick in the next day, right?
Well, Donald Trump, a year and a half.
Donald Trump said when the tariffs.
He said in a year,
hold on.
prices would be down 50% for electricity. Are they up right now?
Hold on. Donald Trump, when he brought in the whole idea of tariffs, would you agree that for the last 4 decades, we have had completely lopsided trade deals?
A Federal Reserve report just came out, indicated that we'd be below pre-pandemic levels of inflation if Donald Trump never imposed the tariffs in the first place. Meaning we'd be able to bring down interest rates and be able to increase investment within our economy and bring more jobs back.
Hold on. When you say destroying our relationships with other countries, well, other countries were getting sweet deals, right? We were basically the world's piggy bank for the last, it's really basically post-World War II, and Donald Trump is trying to reverse that so that we will have fairer deals.
What better deal did he get?
What?
What better deal did he get?
What do you mean? Several countries have already come back and
Name any of the conditions that made the trade better off. Give me the specifics.
Canada, I think they had something like a 60% tariff on cheese, literally on cheese, and that basically is zero right now. That's one little example. I think it's zero right now.
Okay, so that's a targeted tariff, not a universal tariff. Can you name one country that had a universal tariff on us?
I think there are several countries that
Name
did.
one.
I think there are several countries
Name
that
one.
did. Honestly, I'm not sure, but I think there are several countries that did.
Okay, so why are we placing universal?
That zeroed out the tariffs. So then I think Argentina did, if I'm not mistaken. I think Israel did. I think a few other countries did.
Why don't we put a proportional tariff on them, the same that they put on us, so that we can negotiate that down? It doesn't seem like Trump's looking for that.
What do you mean? That's exactly what Trump did.
Let me just clarify. The tariffs are being paid by our consumers. So Trump, while trying to get his deals, is making inflation go up and making it worse off for you at the grocery store, worse off for you at the gas pump, worse off for you when you're trying to buy a house. So can you, again, like you could mention before, can you name one metric that Trump's made better off since he got in office?
I'm just not sure the premise of what you're saying, because do you think we should just have free trade with everybody without any penalization?
I thought you were like
either
libertarian.
Way?
Don't you want free trade?
No, that's what I'm saying. So, I think you're agreeing with me. What Donald Trump is trying to do is
overall decrease tariffs.
He's trying.
The Supreme Court did more to decrease tariffs than he did.
It doesn't happen overnight. They're
you keep
negotiating these things.
Have we done anything in his office yet?
Yes.
What?
Yes. Scott Besson every day is negotiating with these other countries. You think that
I think the negotiations are worse off with the JCPOA. We have less political concessions right now than we had a decade ago under the JCPOA. So tell me, what political concessions have we got with the war with Iran since Trump started it?
Well, right now, Iran literally exports no oil. Every day they are losing $500 million. So what you can do over time is you have a military adventure, which we had 40 days, which we took out their Air Force and their entire Navy and everything else. And now we completely control their economy.
What's the political concession since the beginning of the war?
What's the political concession from Iran since the beginning of the war?
Yes, name one.
Well, we're having negotiations with them right now.
And we haven't gotten anything?
We're having negotiations with them right now.
So nothing?
Well, we're in a negotiation process.
We've been in a war for 2.5 months now. We got no political concessions.
A war for 2.5 months? How long do you think wars are supposed to take?
A decade ago, we had a limitation in terms of them enriching uranium to 3.7%. That was going to be in place until 2030. It would still be in place to this day.
Again, we started
the JCPOA.
We started with this. They admitted they were enriching past that point.
After the JCPOA.
Steve Witkoff said 2 or 3 days before the war started that they admitted they were enriching more.
Also, when Trump pulled out of the agreement, and then the original strike that we made a year ago, they haven't been building up since then.
You also have to go on the assumption.
According to DNI,
why is it that you believe the Iranian theocratic regime? Why would you believe that they are doing right?
That's the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, appointed by Donald Trump. So explain to me why you don't believe her.
Listen, Marco Rubio.
Why don't you believe her?
Hold on.
Why don't you believe the entire U.S. intelligence committee? Why do you think they're all lying?
So, are you saying that Donald Trump just ignored the entire U.S. intelligence committee?
Yes,
no,
literally, that's what he did.
No, he didn't.
Yes.
That's okay. So that's an interesting disconnect that we have. I mean, Marco
Then why
Rubio.
do they contradict each other?
Marco Rubio very clearly laid out what was going on here. And by the way, Donald Trump and every president for the last 40 years has said that Iran will not get a nuclear bomb. Right? Every president has said that. Joe Biden said no. Remember, Kamala Harris said no or
the
don't.
JCPOA
right?
limited it to a greater extent. Why didn't you address that point?
Again. You are going on the assumption that you can trust these random inspectors that are going into these places.
IAEA?
Literally,
random inspectors.
All right.
The IAEA is the International Atomic Energy.
With all due respect, I think that trusting some of these international things that they somehow have America's interests or the West's interests in mind, I think is a kind of faulty. It's just a faulty premise. I would say.
So the international actors that are lying. They don't actually have legitimate surveillance over their nuclear enrichment facilities?
No, they don't.
Okay, so
they don't.
You think
they have. What do you mean? They were buried under mountains. They were buried. Listen. Final surrounded claim is that the modern left cares more about ideology than reality.
Does Donald Trump accept the 2020 election results? And do Republicans broadly accept the 2020 election results still to this day?
I think there's a lot of questions about the 2020 election.
But does Donald Trump accept it?
Does Donald Trump? I think he thinks something went awry.
So he does not accept it. Now, did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
I don't know.
No.
I know.
Really?
No, yeah, that's the truth. I know that he was not the president by the end of that, but I do know that in all the chaos of COVID and mail-in ballots and everything else, that somehow magically Joe Biden got something like 20 million more votes than Barack Obama. That's a little bit curious.
Yeah,
so
voter turnout was
I
incredibly high that election because voting was made easier.
Oh, because voting was. Well, you might think it have something to do if you are doing mail-in ballots. There might be a little more access to fraudulent abilities.
You might think that, but you have to actually provide evidence to demonstrate that, right? So
I'm just skeptical. I'm just skeptical of it. I don't know. I'm skeptical of it.
Okay, so if just
I would venture to say that a little skepticism is probably a good thing. Were the borders open under Obama?
No.
Or under Biden? Let's try that. The borders were not open.
What piece of legislation did he pass to open the borders?
No, it's not about a piece of legislation. It's about quite
so
literally.
How do you open the borders without legislation?
You just let people through. They were quite literally moving barbed wire fence.
Where did you get this information?
There are videos of it. Have you ever seen the video of Bobby?
Did you fact check the videos?
Have you ever seen the video of Bobby Kennedy when he was running as a Democrat? Standing at the border. He was still a Democrat.
Wait, you're talking about the same one that sniffed coke off a toilet seat and admitted it recently.
No.
The same one that actually took a dead bear and dropped it in Central Park. The same one that actually chopped the head off a whale. You're citing RFK Jr.?
Yes, I am citing RFK Jr.
No, I don't hear that.
Who's running HHS right now.
Which he shouldn't be.
So you tax everybody less. You remove regulation. You create the conditions for competition and capitalism. Competition would start kicking in. I have to say, first off, I thoroughly enjoyed this, believe it or not.